Hello, and thank you for inviting me to join this year's conference. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to speak with you, albeit like so many other international events over the last 18 months remotely. My name is Anna Brakey, and I am a Commissioner at the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, or ACCC. I am joining you from Camaragal land, and I acknowledge the traditional owners of that land. It is fitting that I'm here to discuss our approach that we're taking to revise the regulatory framework for our national broadband network, given its extensive use at the moment. Telecommunications is an essential service. Its importance has been reinforced during the current pandemic. We've used it for a range of purposes, including homeschooling, working from home, delivering telehealth, online shopping, conference attendance, and remaining connected to family and friends. As such, an affordable and capable broadband service is an essential service for all Australians. A competitive and efficient market economy can deliver big benefits for consumers. Rivalry between competing firms can deliver the goods and services that consumers want at prices they are willing to pay. The market economy is not perfect. Consumer welfare can be undermined, especially where infrastructure services are provided by monopoly suppliers. In these situations, the ACCC has a role in providing effective economic regulation to protect, strengthen and supplement competitive market processes. So back in 2013, we accepted a regulatory compact from the wholesale national broadband company NBN Co. This regulatory compact sets the price and revenue controls, as well as the terms on which NBN Co will supply services to its wholesale customers over the NBN. We set the regulatory compact in the early stages of rolling out this new standalone wholesale broadband network, which was being built by the government. It was intended that the network would provide broadband services to all premises via a multi-technology mix, including fibre to the premises, fibre to the node, HCF networks, fixed wireless and satellite technologies. It is important to note that NBN Co does face some limited competition around the edges of its network, for example from mobile networks and fixed wireless providers. It is, however, a monopoly from a regulatory perspective. It was intended that this regulatory compact would operate on a modular structure which locks in matters for a certain period of time. This structure was designed to balance regulatory certainty for NBN Co and the flexibility to change certain elements or determine certain aspects at different points in time. After nearly 10 years of operation and at the end of the build phase, NBN Co now has around 8.4 million services connected. We now know that some elements of the regulatory compact have not worked as expected. The regulatory compact was intended to provide a high degree of pricing certainty that would allow retailers to design and invest in products that would meet consumer demand. The regulatory compact recognised that not all consumers would value the higher speed services that would be offered by NBN, and there was a need to ensure consumers could buy a similar service to their legacy service at a similar price so that they wouldn't be forced to pay higher prices for faster speeds that they neither needed or wanted. In varying degrees, these objectives have not been met. Importantly, the regulatory compact has proven to be ineffective. There is a risk of price shocks for both retailers and consumers, which will impact the competitiveness of retail markets. The ACCC will look to review these issues and how the regulatory compact can be strengthened to ensure there is certainty for retailers, for NBN Co, and most importantly for the users of NBN. In our review, we will focus on the regulatory settings that directly impact the market. We want the NBN Co's access arrangement set at a level that will deliver benefits to consumers and reflect the market economy, that will encourage a wide range of products and offers in the market at a range of prices so that all consumers can choose a service that meets their needs and allows NBN Co to earn a reasonable return. Stakeholder engagement is vital. We have started a consultation process that precedes NBN submitting its proposed regulatory framework. In June this year, we kicked the consultation process off with an industry roundtable to discuss the future regulatory framework. Participants at that roundtable represented the views of both small and large retail service providers, consumers, the telecommunications industry, and the government, representing the views of shareholding ministers. Hearing these different perspectives is essential for a good outcome. In addition, we've set up some working groups to focus on the key elements of the regulatory framework, including how we approach setting efficient prices and what revenue controls should be in place. These working groups are collaborative, with different stakeholders taking responsibility for developing models or discussion papers on particular matters. The issues that we are discussing are important for the future of NBN and for the users of NBN, that is, consumers and businesses. Some of the issues raised in discussions with stakeholders so far include looking at the ways the retailers might have more control over the quality dimensions of products and offers, such as the speed or busy hour performance. Effective price controls to keep wholesale prices at efficient levels. These may be set across the board or only for certain classes of product. Introducing product and pricing measures that will provide incentives to NBN Co to improve parts of its network, and ways to make wholesale pricing and product constraints simpler. Options might include flatter pricing structures and commitments to meet minimum technical quality on products. There are elements of the regulatory framework that are standard across regulated infrastructure, and so we will draw on best practice. It is also important to consider the need for a low-income broadband product. Telecommunications is now an essential service, and we need to make sure that all consumers can get access to a basic service that meets their needs. This review is an important balancing act. We are pleased that consumer representatives, retailers, and the NBN have committed to work together in an open and transparent way in examining these issues and developing a new regulatory framework, an exciting but challenging process. Any changes must take into account NBN's needs to recover its costs from building and operating the network and have the opportunity to make a reasonable return. This is essential for NBN Co to continue to invest in and improve its network. We are seeking an outcome that balances the needs of NBN, that allows retailers to innovate and differentiate their products and services, and creates an environment in which consumers can have confidence in the quality of their service. Consumers should expect that their line, whatever the technology, will deliver the speed claims made by their retailers. It's still relatively early in our process, so any observations are preliminary, but I would like to share some reflections. First, having a diversity of views in the room means that big players are not dominating the conversation. For example, by having the views of consumers being present at early stages means that topics such as the need for a low-income product is being considered as part of the overall discussion on product and pricing rather than at the end of the process. Smaller players who have different priorities to larger, more established players are contributing different views and ideas about what an efficient pricing model should be. Secondly, the working groups have highlighted the different levels of knowledge, resource and capability of different stakeholders to engage. The process of sharing views and models amongst participants and discussing issues that emerged have allowed opportunity to engage and contribute at an early stage. By starting with a blank sheet of paper and placing the emphasis on collaboration, the discussions so far have been very productive. Ideas that may not get raised in a more traditional consultation process have emerged. Of course, our role is to seek to balance the different perspectives, which will necessarily include compromises. But by undertaking the processes in an open and transparent way, we hope that the outcome will be understood. Ultimately, the objective is for NBN Co to submit a variation to its regulatory compact that we as a regulator could accept. By frontlining the process and examining these issues together, we hope that the consultation on such a variation is more efficient. Although we're still early in the process and there is a lot of work to do, I look forward to sharing the outcomes with you next year. Enjoy the conference.